Welcome back to part 3 of when you feel like you don't fit in at the church. If you missed part 1 and 2, I'll link those videos below so that you can see them. In our last video, just to do a quick recap, we did talk about the difference between the local church versus who the church, when we say that with a capital C, church, actually is. So if you missed that, go back and take a look and see the difference between those two. But today we're gonna be talking about what I like to call the secret sauce. And actually it's not that secret at all, but this is the how to actually plug in and meet people. So many of you had commented on the very first video that you were just struggling to plug in with a local body of believers somewhere. So this is my sort of secret, not secret sauce of how I've managed to plug in 40-ish years inside of the church. So it's actually really simple. It's one word. That word is serve. Now hang on before you click out of this video. Just hang in there with me because this is actually a really important thing to understand, the need to serve. In our last video, we talked about how you are uniquely equipped with gifts and a testimony and a character that allows you to serve well in your local body. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 10 to 11 says this: each has received a gift. Use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Whoever speaks as one who speaks oracles of God, whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. We serve then because God tells us to. We serve because by using our God-given gifts to serve, we glorify God. We serve because the church needs you and your unique gifts and characters and qualities to serve in this time in history in the location that you are in. And finally, we serve because God designed us to serve. So as I said, I was born and raised inside of the church. That's 41 years inside of the church. Of course, many of those I was too young to serve. But by age 8, I was a nursery helper. I loved snuggling little babies, so that was perfect for me. As I got a little bit older, I became a kid door greeter. I loved welcoming new kids into our church. At that time, we were part of a little tiny Baptist church. And so those were ways that I could serve. As I got older, we ended up going to a mega church. And that would have been in my teenage years and early 20s when I plugged in there. And in that location, I was serving on a Sunday morning production team. I was really big in drama at the time. And so that was one of the ways that I could help with some of those behind the scenes kind of things that happened on a Sunday morning. I could help with skits or different things that they did on a Sunday morning. Generally though, as I have aged, I am settling into the role of teacher, leading Sunday school, helping Sunday school, leading a Bible study. There's various ways that you can teach inside of a church. So those are some of the ways that I have plugged in with serving. Of course, there's also some smaller ways. If a church needs cleaning, come help clean a church. If there's filing to be done, sometimes you just gotta file or help put plates on a table at a potluck. But there's various assortments of ways that you can get plugged in. One of the things we've also done in our house is make sure that our kids are serving. So as a family, we've collectively started serving in various facets, and as our kids get older, we have encouraged them to take on bigger and bigger roles within the church to serve. And here's what serving does. It gives you a sense of purpose and belonging. It's actually a God-given way to help us connect with the bigger church body. So you can certainly serve within your local church building. There are always ways to help. Just ask. Somebody somewhere will need your willing hand of service. And of course, there's also the Christian ministries that work into our communities, the outreach buildings. So those would be like homeless shelters or outreach programs, pregnancy counseling, addiction centers. Those are various assortments of ways that we see the hands and feet of Christ in motion in our communities. And that's another way that we can plug in with the church body. So there's the local church body. I know many of you are struggling to find one that is solid in doctrine, but there's also those outreach communities where you can also meet part of the members of the body of Christ. So if you have a gift and you do not see it being used in your local church where you are attending, speak up. I know that pastors are always in need, and they're often willing to hear if you have an idea or a way that you can serve. A lot of them are waiting for people to come forward and say, I want to serve in this capacity, because it's such a beautiful thing, instead of just being voluntold, to have someone who actually has it in their heart to serve in some capacity. And so some of those preachers are just waiting to hear from their congregants to say, I would love to serve in this way, but I don't see it offered here. And maybe you're somebody who loves cooking and you want to start a meal train for someone, or you want to have a bunch of meals provided for those in need. That's a fantastic thing to offer too, and maybe your church doesn't have something like that. So there are a varying assortment of ways that we can be plugging in. But please speak up, or no one knows what you are capable of and how you are equipped. And if you don't know how you're equipped, you can ask a friend, and I'm sure that they will tell you different ways that they naturally see you helping and serving. That's a great way to figure out a way that you can serve. And as we begin serving, we more naturally begin to meet others. I will say, though, that there have been 4 lies that I often fall prey to that paralyze me in my ability to serve. The first lie is that I'm simply not good enough. The real explanation here is none of us are good enough, but God works through our weaknesses and he works through our willingnesses. We can see this played out when we look at Moses. If we flip to Exodus 4, verse 10, verses 10 and 11, but Moses said to the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue. Then the Lord said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. So that's verse 12 when God finishes saying that I will be with you and I will teach you. So even though we have our own weaknesses, we can depend on God and that he will be with us even in those weaknesses. All he needs is a willing heart. The second lie that I have often fallen prey to is that somebody else can do it better. And so I sit there waiting and assuming that somebody else will pick up the need at hand. But actually, you are in a location in history because God put you there with your ability to serve. You might not be the best of the best in the department that you are willing to serve in, but that doesn't matter. You are where you are in history with your gifts, and God will carry you the rest of the way. Esther would be a wonderful example of that one, and we can read about that one in Esther 4:14. It says, For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? You are here in history, in your location, with your gifts and talents for such a time as this. The third lie I have fallen prey to is that I'm simply here to listen. Friends, I have gone through some incredibly challenging times in my life where I can't physically serve. And that has become a hardship for me because I actually do love serving in my community and in my church family. And in those times, I have had to sit back and I have been an intercessory prayer warrior. What does that mean? That means that I've been in prayer groups or prayer chains where people send me requests for prayer, and I pray from my bed or from my chair with my nursing child or from whatever capacity that I have. I pray for people. People are always in need of prayer. So find the group that prays for each other, and you can at least pray when you're sitting. And I'll tell you what serving does when you're in a hard time is it keeps your focus from being so stuck in the rut that you're in to serving and glorifying God. And it gives you a sense of hope, and it gives you a sense of belonging that you are still important even in this hard time. And so I would encourage you, particularly in the hard times, to not just sit back and to listen, but to actually be serving. And maybe you're in a situation right now where you're not equipped to teach because you're a new believer, and that's fine. Maybe plug in, like I said, with a potluck and help put plates on a table. Every hand is needed, but find a way that you can serve even through your challenging times. And the fourth lie that I have succumbed to is that no one needs what I can offer. And again, we would go back to 1 Peter 4:10, where we can know that each one of us has a gift. You can find a way to use it. You just need to ask, but they definitely need what you have to offer. And the beauty of what happens when we serve is that we begin to help other people. And in return, when we're going through hard times or even in good times, other people can then begin to pour into us, because as we naturally meet more people, we make those connections and we can begin to pour into and also receive from, so that we're not just in this kind of a feed me consumer stance, but that we're also giving and receiving. And it becomes this beautiful back and forth of blessings, and that's how God has made it. So today I'm asking that you join in the discussion below. Share with us some ways that you have served. Maybe you'll help somebody else who's not quite sure what they bring to the table, and maybe you have a way that you can encourage someone else to participate, whether it's in the local body or whether it's in a Christian ministry, a way that you can connect and find more members of the church that we can connect with and fit in with, and love on and pour out blessings on, and also, as I said, to become receivers of those as we interact with each other. Enjoy your week, and we will see you again soon for part 4.